Okay, is this a good angle? I don't know. I'm just gonna drive. Hello everyone, my name is Fifi and welcome to my channel. So, this is so different. I've never done this before, but I am going to do my book video here, inside my car. Oopsies. Thanks, Kuya. And, okay, so I'm heading home and oh wait, I forgot to pray. Guys, I pray when I drive, so Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen.
Lord, the guards and guardian. Thank you for always guiding me and blessing me, guardian angel. I love you so much. Thank you, Lord, for a wonderful day today.
I'm so sorry this whole thing is shaky. I will try my best to not pass by bumpy stuff. I actually filmed my Asian readathon video last weekend, but it sucked. It sucked. I had so many things to say that were unnecessary and I hated it. I was editing it last night and I was supposed to post it today, but I hated it. I was like, Fief, what the hell are you doing? This is not cool, man. You're supposed to be kind of cool, but you're going to drive with me today, and while I drive, I'm going to be talking about the books I read in May, because I feel like in the driving setting or in a car setting, I don't have to think too much, and that was my issue in the video. I was thinking too much about what I was going to say, the words I was going to use, and I feel like when I'm driving, I always have this sense of peace and I know how to pace myself. The only downside to this whole setting, apart from it being so wonky because we're in a moving car, is I look terrible. Oh my god, I'm still wearing my ID. Sorry. When I'm in a car, I love to talk to myself or pretend I'm in a Comic-Con interview, because who doesn't? But at the same time, I'm also not super conscious about the words I say because I'm also preoccupied with other things, like, you know, trying not to die in a car crash. So, Kuya! So, I'm just gonna start. These are the books I read in May. It was AAPI month, and if you don't know what AAPI means, it is Asian/Asian American and Pacific Islanders Heritage Month. So we are celebrating being Asian, basically. Don't you just love being Asian? And oh, would you look at that? There. Is she still there? Son, I love you, but this is not, okay, she's gone. Anyway, I was saying, don't you guys just love being Asian? I just love being Filipino. Apart from the inherent racism and colonial mentality and butchered justice system that we go through every day, yeah, being Asian is great. And to celebrate AAPI month, I had a selection of books that are written by Asian authors or are centered on an Asian character. If you're not reading diversely and have not read books by Asian authors, I suggest that you go diversify your selection or your bookshelf, because there are so many stories to be told and so many stories to be heard out there. And I hope you pick up some of the reads that I will be mentioning in this video, because they were amazing. And sorry, I had to put this down. The light is... Hi, son. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna fight with her today. She's so pretty. First book I read in May, Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. Okay, we're gonna pass through a wonky part, so I hope you guys don't mind that. Okay, so I researched about Sayaka Murata. She is a Japanese author who is very famous nowadays because Convenience Store Woman is an awfully popular book. She has written, I think Convenience Store Woman is her most popular, but she has written a new book called Earthlings, and I think it released late last year around October. I haven't picked that up yet. I feel like I have to because I love her. I looked up one of her interviews on YouTube called A Creature of Your Own Right, I think that was called. And she is so cool. She is so awesome. The way she thinks is so out of the box. And she has this, like, she always loves talking about wanting to be an alien or looking at the human, like, condition through an alien perspective, or somebody who is not of this earth. She's just so cool. She has the weirdest taste, but also the coolest taste. Like, hello, I want to be your best friend. That definitely translated to her writing of Convenience Store Woman, because Convenience Store Woman, if you guys don't know, is about a woman named Keiko who has been working in a convenience store for 18 years. She's 36 years old. She's never had a different job. She's always been working part-time. And she kind of lives really humbly. She's not really aiming to be rich because she loves to work in a convenience store so much. She lives and breathes everything inside it. Definitely one of the most sensory reads I've ever read. She loves describing things in a way that makes you feel like you are in the actual setting. Like, she uses imagery with sound, taste, smell, touch. And I think it also really gave character to her main character, Keiko. Because I think a bunch of readers think that Keiko falls in the autism spectrum because she is very sensitive to sensory imagery. And it was never really explicitly said by Sayaka that, you know, Keiko is autistic, or maybe she has Asperger's. I'm not really sure. It was never really mentioned. But a lot of readers within the autism spectrum really think that Keiko could be somehow autistic or fall within that spectrum because apart from her really sensory like way of looking at things and living her life, she has a very empathetic character. So she's not very good with social cues. So how she makes up for that is she copies her co-workers' emotions in how she responds to conversation. And because she's never really good at responding accordingly, she mimics people's facial expressions. She mimics the way people react and gasps, and you know, because she has no idea how to react. So that's how people think that she can fall, that maybe she is kind of autistic. So in a nutshell, Keiko is 36 or 38, I don't know. Her parents want her to get another job, and her friends are pressuring her, of course, to get married because us as women are stereotyped into marriage, of course, at a certain age, and Keiko is 36. So everyone's like, you have to get married, girl. You can't be working in a convenience store forever. But Keiko, our girl, she's just like, nope, I'm working here forever for the rest of my life. This is who I am. I love it here. I will live and breathe here. I will find excellence here. So everyone can just shut it and leave me be. For sure, this was social commentary to ableism and also misogyny, especially talking about social hierarchies and this social construct of normalcy. Because of course, we as a society have had this standard of how we view success and the hierarchies that we have of it. But for Keiko, she's just like, nope, I am an essential worker. I will contribute to society this way. And that's just that. It's so relevant right now because it becomes an ode to what an essential worker is and how we treat essential workers. And I think that term has definitely become saturated because of the pandemic and who we view as essential to society. But now we know, because of COVID, we know who we need. A lot of dark comedy, a lot of hilarious writing, but then after reading like a certain paragraph and laughing about it, you realize that, oh, I shouldn't have found that hilarious. I am part of the problem because I found this hilarious. Therefore, I should rethink my values and go take a walk. So all in all, Convenience Store Woman, I rated it 4 stars because I don't really read contemporary fiction, but then when I picked this up, I was like, oh my god, this is like one of the most unique things I've ever read and so brilliant. You guys should check it out. It's very girl boss. It's so girl boss, and if you want to feel like a girl boss, pick it up. Next book I read, and it's so funny because I just came from work and I had such a really terrifying experience with this book because of work. So this is The Kiss Quotient by Helen Wang. Romance, fluffy, cliche, beautiful, cheesy. It's your everyday romance, but, and here's the funny story. There was this one day in the office where I was feeling very off. What is this bus doing swerving like this without a signal? Kuya! So I decided to whip up this book during my lunch break in my computer, and I was eating my lunch. And usually in the office, when it's your lunch break, everyone is like, do whatever you want, I don't know, go out, read a book, whatever. And I was like, oh my god, this is like a really well-written Wattpad story. And don't get me wrong, I love Wattpad. Girl, I still read Wattpad to this very day. If anybody wants a Wattpad recommendations video, I totally will make one. Just let me know. I have so many recommendations. And I say it's like a Wattpad story because it's very cliche, super cheesy, and so fun. I found it really fun. I had a good time. Oh shoot, I forgot to tell you what it's about. I can't tell you why it was funny if I don't tell you what it's about. So it's about a woman named Stella. She's 30 years old and is diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. So she is a high-functioning autistic person, and she's an econometrician. So she's really into her work. She loves math. She's super like, whoa, go career woman. But she doesn't have a boyfriend, and of course she's in an age where her parents are pestering her to go find a husband and give them grandchildren, because I guess that's what women are for. That's all we are, baby generators. And Stella, I think she's had boyfriends before. I don't know if like it was an exclusive thing, but she's not a virgin, so she's had sex before, but all of them have never gone right. It's usually just a man on top of her doing his thing and her just lying there like a corpse. Talk about disgusting and disappointing. Men are trash. And of course, Stella being diagnosed with autism, she thinks it's her problem because as an autistic person, she can't really take social cues. Again, like Keiko, who we kind of think is in the autism spectrum. She can't take social cues. She doesn't know how to respond to things. She can't read the room. So her sensitivity to that is fairly low. So naturally, she thinks it's her fault that she can't have sex with anyone without it being enjoyable for herself. So, since Stella thinks she's the problem, she decides to hire a male escort. And now we have Michael. Asian, beautiful Michael. It's so funny because he is described as a K-pop looking person, and I didn't know how to respond to that. I really didn't. Stella and Michael meet for the first time, and it's an awkward kind of first meeting because Stella is like, oh, I don't want you to just have sex with me. I want you to teach me how to have sex. And Michael, of course, is like, girl, what you talking about? So, of course, this is your typical whirlwind romance. I don't think it's an insta-love. Well, kind of. Because the first time they see each other, well, of course, there's instant physical attraction. But I think the love I think it developed pretty nicely. Anyway, going back to my story, when I was at work, sorry, I almost forgot about that. I was at work and I was eating my spaghetti. And of course, this was the first night Stella and Michael would be. And I thought, you know, like your usual romance books, the sex is usually like glazed over. Like they would hint that they would tumble on a bed and things happen, and it's already the next day. Ho, 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 ho. Girlies, it was not a next day. It was a today, tonight. We are doing it. There was smut, and a lot of it. And I did not expect for there to be smut, for me to be reading it at work in the office, in my office computer that is monitored by our admin. I just hope whoever is on IT that day did not try to monitor my work for the day, because they would have seen some sexy things. And, you know, I don't want to deprive anyone of sexy time, but oh God, I never closed a tab so fast. Never in my life. Never, I'm telling you. I'm not gonna lie, it's good smut. It is spicy, it is sexy, it is everything you want, I believe. And I think it's a good balance of fluff and, you know, sexy time, because I don't know, I think that's what you just need in a romance, in an adult romance. It's definitely not YA. Yeah, I loved it. I super did, which is why I read the second book. And I didn't even know this was a series until my friend Lara, if you're watching this, you're an MVP. How the hell am I gonna fit here, Van? So I read the second book. It's called The Bride Test, and it's in the same universe because the characters The main guy is related to Michael of the Kiss Quotient. I think they're cousins. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, Helen Hoang is a Vietnamese American author. She is also within the autism spectrum, which is why her books are revolving around people with such syndrome. And I think it's really nice. I think it's really nice of her to share her experiences through fiction. It's just so nice to learn about this syndrome or this spectrum within a sweet atmosphere, and I loved it. Going back to the bride test, it is about Kai, and Kai is Vietnamese American. He again is with Asperger's syndrome. Kai thinks he doesn't have any emotions because of this really traumatic experience that he went through as a kid, and then he responded kind of like really unemotionally about it. So he thinks he can't fall in love. Like, he thinks he is not capable of love or hate or any form of extreme emotion. But of course, being in an Asian household, your parents, especially your mother, will not allow you to not get married, bro. Like, you should have called this. Your mom is Vietnamese. She will not allow you to stay single forever and not give her grandchildren. Typical Asian mom has to do it all by herself and look for a wife for Kai. So mom flies back to Vietnam to look for a wife for Kai, because where else can you look for a better wife? So she finds Esme. I think Esme is a janitress or a toilet cleaner, and she's like, okay, here's my offer, come with me to America, seduce my son, and if you succeed, you get to live the American dream. You get to marry him, get a green card, and you know, etc, etc. So Esme, who is also struggling, I mean, she's not getting a lot from cleaning toilets, she agrees. So she flies to America, meets Kai. Of course, when they see each other, typical instant physical attraction. The thing I have with this book, although I don't hate the book, I definitely like the Kiss Quotient a bit more. Esme can't really speak English. She knows minimal. She understands, but she can't really speak it yet. And when she gets to America, she doesn't speak to Kai in English. She speaks to him in Vietnamese. And Kai, understanding Vietnamese because, you know, his mom is Vietnamese, responds to her in English because he himself cannot speak Vietnamese. So it's kind of like a multilingual type of communication. And now that I think about it, I didn't really think about this when I was reading the book because, you know, I was just enjoying it. I was there for a good time. But now that I think about it, I'm not really sure if the connection they felt or the love, you know, that would grow between them is super like authentic if they can't really understand each other to a like, I don't know, did the language barrier affect their relationship? I'm not really sure. Yeah, that was my only thing, but still cute. Great smut as per classic Helen Hoang, even if I've only read one book of hers. I feel like all her books have smut. There's a third book coming out this August, and I think it's gonna be about Kai's brother Kwan. I'm so excited for that. And I really recommend these two books, like this, the Kiss Quotient series. I highly recommend it. Fourth book I read, Sweet Bean Paste by Durian Sukagawa. I don't know much about Durian Sukagawa apart from he's Japanese, and I think he's been to the States a few times to study. Anyway, Sweet Bean Paste is about a man named Sentaro who sells dorayaki for a living. If you don't know what dorayaki is, it's this Japanese pastry. Whoa! Oh, did you hear that? It's this Japanese pastry that is kind of like a pancake, and then there's filling inside. Sweet bean paste is the filling that you put inside the dorayaki. As main characters go, he's had a dark past. He has a criminal record, and he's kind of in this journey to redeem himself, but he's losing all hope because he's buried in debt. He can't really quit his dorayaki selling job because even if he doesn't like what he's doing, he has no choice. He needs the money, and he needs to pay the owner of the dorayaki shop because he owns that person. One day he meets Toku, an elderly woman. I think she's around 70, 80 years old. So Toku walks in his shop and says, hey, I heard you're hiring. I need a job. I would like to work for you. And Sentaro is like, I'm so sorry, old lady. I cannot hire you. First of all, you're so old. So before she left, Toku was like, okay, here's some sweet bean paste that I made. Please try it. I'll come back next time. Lo and behold, when Sentaro tasted the sweet bean paste, it was the most beautiful, delicious sweet bean paste he's ever had in his life, which makes him hire Toku in the end. So Sentaro hires Toku, and when she starts teaching him how to make sweet bean paste, he realizes that her hands are disfigured. And within the story, we find out about Toku's past, that she was actually sick as a little girl, and people with this type of sickness are really frowned upon in Japan. There was a stigma against them, and the story basically revolves around, again, social construct, and this time it was injected with, you know, finding your purpose in life. And I think it's such a good book to pick up when you're feeling really, I don't know, useless, or when you feel like you haven't accomplished anything, or you feel so small in this world and you don't really know what your purpose is. I picked this up at a good time because I was in a mindset where I was like, what am I really doing with my life? And then I picked this up and I was like, oh my god, I live to exist. I live to exist and revel in the beauty of earth. And that's it. You know, that's all you really need in life. That's all you really need to push you to live. Next book is Patron Saints of Nothing by Randy Rebay, and Randy is a Filipino American. I was so happy to pick this up. This book is about the drug war in the Philippines, and I was really curious to see what this book was going to be about because, you know, it's so present, the issue. The drug war is still happening. Duterte is still in office. It's about a teenager named Jay, who is also Filipino American, like the author, who lives in the States. And then one day, his cousin died in the Philippines because of the drug war. Jay, the one who died, his cousin, didn't have a funeral. His death was shushed, and his dad is a police officer. So, you know, if it's a police officer, what do we expect? In a nutshell, Jay flies back to the Philippines to his extended family and tries to investigate June's death, and tries to find out what really happened. Was he really a drug pusher? Did he really use drugs? And it was a good book, you know. I would say it's middle grade because it didn't really go too deep. I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads because I personally don't think I was the target audience for this. I think this book is for people who don't know about the drug war, and this would be a good introduction to it. And I think it's mostly for Filipino Americans or for foreigners to read this. If you don't know yet about the drug war in the Philippines, this is a really good thing to pick up. But yeah, all I can say about it, it was really surface level. I wouldn't say shallow. If you want to know more, to be honest, just watch the news. There wasn't really any information that, I don't know, it wasn't very eye-opening or anything. Maybe because I live here already, so I already know the works. Okay, I'm home, but I have one more book to talk about, and it is The Borrowed by Chan Ho-kei. Okay, so The Borrowed is probably my favorite book I've read in May, and I haven't even finished it yet. Chan Ho-kei was born and raised in Hong Kong. I think he writes a lot of other crime novels and stories about the Hong Kong police scene, but also I think a bit of comics. He is the Agatha Christie of Hong Kong. He writes true crime novels, and I love Agatha Christie, so. The Borrowed is about a brilliant detective, Kwon Chun-dok. I don't know if I'm butchering that name, but it spans 50 years of his brilliant career. And I think it's essentially a collection of novellas because there are 6 cases within the book. And I've only gone through 3. It's the type of book that you don't really need to rush. The writing is very straight to the point. It's dry, it's astute, it doesn't have any like lyrical words by any chance. Chan Ho-kei doesn't write like that. And I don't think it's because of the translation. He just really is like a matter-of-fact, straight to the point kind of person. So if you're looking for a kind of, I don't know, really poetic kind of writing, you're not gonna find it there. But Kwon Chun-dok is so good. He's like the Hercule, how do you even pronounce that?
I am Detective Hercule Poirot, and I will deliver your killer.
But yeah, he is that. He is the Agatha Christie hero of Hong Kong. Super great. It tackled a lot of real events in Hong Kong history, especially the turnover of sovereignty from the British to the Chinese. Since I've read 3 cases, I already read as far as the Hanover of 1997 and also the Tiananmen Square Massacre of 1978, 87. It's so good. It is peak true crime, Hong Kong edition, police crime scenes. Of course, it also tackles how terrible the police are. That whole system, rigged, corrupt, it's everywhere. Police all over the world. It's a rigged system, my dudes, and I loved how Chan Ho-ke really touched this. I'm kind of hoping he writes a book or a case about Hong Kong police issues of the past few years. That would be really interesting if he touched that, but we don't want to put his life in danger, so maybe Chan Ho-ke, don't do it. There we have it, guys. I'm home. This is not my house. I'm just parking in front of somebody else's house. Thank you for driving with me home and seeing to my safety. I hope you like this video. If anybody's curious what I'm reading right now, I'm going through The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and I know this is like a painful book, and I don't even know why I'm reading this, but I'm reading this for you, Theola, because it's a book club pick. So thank you guys so much for swinging by my channel. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. If that's your thing, no pressure. Like this video too. Again, no pressure. And I will see you next time. Bye. Good morning, good night, good evening.